That's Twisted.
This is Mark McNease in New York City with my co-host
Rick Rose in Shreveport, Louisiana.
And you're listening to The Twist. Welcome to The Twist, everybody, America's only clothing optional podcast. Mark here. It feels like a spring day in New York City, Rick. This weather is so strange. What's going on in Shreveport?
Oh, it's beautiful, but one day it's like in the 30s, one day it's in the 60s, but it's always sunny and beautiful, although we've had a little rain. But it's post-Mardi Gras season, and everybody's in a good spirit.
Now, what goes on in post-Mardi Gras?
Well, I don't know. We made national news yesterday. I don't know if you heard. They released the crawfish. So 1 week from Fat Tuesday, which was yesterday on Tuesday, the state released a crawfish, just like the national government releases a turkey on Thanksgiving. So that's kind of big news. And I think his name was Emile, E-M-I-L-E. And it's very exciting. The quote from the lieutenant governor, because he's the one that does the official release. It's the kickoff of crawfish season. That's what's going on. Louisiana recognizes that a turkey shouldn't be the only animal to get a second chance. And the Tuesday after Mardi Gras shall now be known as the annual pardoning of the crawfish.
I like that. And I was going to ask you if you guys had like a running of the crawfish thing where everybody runs down the street chased by a bunch of crawdaddies.
That's funny. That should be the next thing. But no, this is just, this one particular crawfish is free from any boils, etouffees, po' boys, or any dish that requires heat.
What does that etouffee mean?
Etouffee is like a gumbo, but it's done a little differently. It's
but it means something. It's French for something. And you do etouffee, and you do. I don't know.
I don't know. Etouffee means good to me. Hey, when you mentioned that the running of the crawfish, now I'm off to Wisconsin, by the way. Did I tell you that?
No. When you going? I'll meet you there.
I leave there. I know. I wish you could. I leave there tomorrow because we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of Discover Wisconsin, the TV show I hosted, and you wrote for.
I wrote for.
Yes, I sent you some of the stories about 30th anniversary, but I'm headed there. We're celebrating with the Governor's Conference on Tourism. Me and Scott Walker. We're going to be neck
Scott.
and neck.
I love Scott. What's going on with That's great.
I know. Stephanie Klett will be there, of course, my former co-host, who you know well, who's the Secretary of Tourism under Walker in Wisconsin.
But what does she look like now?
Well,
does she look like Stephanie, only 20 years older?
Exactly. That's exactly how I define it. She's still got that energy of Stephanie, and she's still got that beautiful smile, and she's like apparently the most robust Secretary of Tourism because she travels everywhere and makes people feel good. You know how she's got that energy.
I believe it. That's her. Now, I know we're running tight today because we got all kinds of stuff to do. So you want to just head on into the headlines? By the way, we're still But I was going to. I told you earlier, and I just so folks know who are listening, we are still on YouTube. It's just audio. So what happens now is that when I post the podcast to Libsyn, the host, it automatically posts to YouTube. So we are still there. You just can't see us, which is fine with me.
Yeah. So if people still want to, because their comfort level, like YouTube, or you're listening to your latest Madonna song, you can flip over and watch Mark and Rick.
She's still alive.
Thank you guys for joining us this morning. We'll start the show with some. She is. We're going to start the show with some red lines, which are our version of headlines. They're a little twisted. Mark's going to have a topic of the day. We're going to have some final thoughts. We're going to end with a quote, and we'll bid you adieu.
Okay, here we go. Headlines. Ben Carson incorrectly suggests that African slaves were, quote, immigrants to the United States. I'm sure you saw this. It was quite a brouhaha. And, of course, he's now the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And he recently said, that's what America is about. A land of dreams and opportunity. There were other immigrants who came here in the bottom of slave ships, worked even longer, even harder for less, but they too had a dream that one day their sons, daughters, granddaughters, on and on and on. Boy, he names a lot of grand things. But anyways, they might pursue prosperity and happiness in this land. He has caught endless crap for that. I don't know. I don't hate the guy. What a ridiculous thing to say. And of course, Samuel Jackson, I can't quote him because it was pretty profane, responded on Twitter pretty harshly, like immigrants in the bottom of slave ships. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Here's my first headline, because it is Easter season. Peeps Oreos are reportedly turning poop pink. Oh, well, no, I don't like that one. We're skipping over that one.
Oh, well, you mentioned them the last time. Okay, here we go.
No, I'm going to fill in with the real one first, because I was late for the show, Mark, because I was reading about Wisconsin news and stuff, and I apologize this morning. Anyway, here it is. Mom wants teacher fired for using Ouija board with kindergarten students. Yeah, it happened at Zoblocki Elementary School in Milwaukee. The game was used on February 24th in a classroom exercise, and the moms are mad. And the teacher's like, well, I was just showing kids how spirits and things from the past, because they were wondering how that worked. Anyway, outraged moms.
Yes, and did you say exercise or exorcise?
Exorcise. An exercise, an exorcism. Yes.
The Trump administration quietly shelves the federal government's legal opposition to North Carolina's anti-LGBT bill. Now, of course, the bill in North Carolina was a big deal, and corporations boycotted, everybody boycotted sports. It's still on the books. They have not repealed it. They promised to repeal it if Charlotte repealed their ordinance, their the LGBT protections ordinance, which they did, and then the legislature reneged and betrayed them. But anyways, so the Obama administration had filed suit against it, and the Trump administration quietly abandoned that.
Mess. Price Waterhouse hires bodyguards after wave of death threats. Yes, it's still going on. The two folks that weren't fired for their jobs but have been relieved of their duties at the Oscar Awards because they handed the wrong envelope for Best Picture, Brian Cullinan and Martha Ruiz and their families are receiving death threats after the role in fumbling up that experience, and a lot of social media threats too. So yeah, Price Waterhouse actually hired them bodyguards.
And how nuts is that? But I mean, come on, it was a big
movie.
mistake. It was a big mistake, but death threats, please. Princess Diana, this is some cheerful stuff. Princess Diana's butler. Now, she's been dead for 20 years, which also reminded me, by the way, that I've been friends with Jerry. I'm going to give him a shout out for 20 years.
Jerry.
Time goes so fast. But anyways, her butler came out as gay. His name is Paul Burrell, and he just divorced his wife of 32 years. I hope that was amicable. Wow. And he's now set to marry Graham Cooper, a man he has apparently been seeing for 10 years. So that's kind of sweet. I don't know if it's sweet for his wife, but anyways, this happens. Life goes on. It's very, very, just sweet.
I say it's queer as charged. City employee busted for makeshift bedroom at work. Yes, this happened in Rhode Island. An employee of Rhode Island City, he was employed in Rhode Island City. He wasn't sleeping on the job. He was actually out of a home. He had sold his home too early to move into his new home. So he took his bedroom set and found an empty space in his office building upstairs and got busted. I thought it was funny.
It is funny. I mean, and that's taken work to an extreme. That you said he built a bed at work?
That's hilarious.
But no, but was he trying to save on rent, or he's just that devoted to the job?
Well, he was saving on rent, and he closed on his house early. No, he used the second thing you're saying for his excuse, but he had closed on his house too early to move into his new home and was without a place to live. So he thought, hey, there's an empty space at work. I might as well just move in there.
That is nuts.
That and all. I mean, it wasn't just like he took a sleeping bag and snuck it in. Anyway, crazy.
Well, he can have sex at work now, too.
I can.
The butler. It happens. Trump is on track to spend exorbitant amounts of taxpayer dollars. Now, I'm so not in the mood to get agitated about everything that's going on with our government anymore. But one of the things that the Obama haters, and there are millions, used to complain about, and Trump led the charge, which is no surprise, was about the money that Obama would spend going to Hawaii on vacation and this sort of thing. And now Trump, of course, is going to his Mar-a-Lago estate every weekend. He's going there for the 4th or possibly the 5th weekend. And it's costing taxpayers, one estimate is $97 million.
Wow.
Do his supporters care? No, they don't care about anything as long as it's him. They sure cared when it wasn't, but it's him now, so everything's cool.
That's more than golfing. This one's great. Male or female? I don't know if you heard this, Mark. Garfield's gender is in question, but finally identified. Did you know this one?
No, a gender non-conforming cartoon character?
Yeah, well, basically, it's always been known that Jim Davis, who created him, has always quoted his quote from him, by virtue of being a cat, really, he's not really male or female or any particular race or nationality, young or old. But recently, Wikipedia folks, because you can have these volunteer editors on Wikipedia, 20 times, I think it was around March 3rd to March 4th, I think it was like a 24-hour period, 20 times people posted to Wikipedia that he was a male. or a female, or a male, or a female. They went back and forth. So finally, Davis said, Garfield is male. He has a girlfriend. Her name is Arlene. Now we all know.
Yeah, now it's all been settled. That's
Yeah.
good. Because I was losing sleep over that.
Yeah, me too.
A little mollusk may lead to a big discovery in helping solve the U.S. opioid epidemic. This is good news.
Wow.
A little too
This is good.
for Prince, but the researchers have found a non-addictive painkiller derived from a species of sea snail. So let's hope that moves
Whoa.
forward and they do something with it.
On the other end, here's the title: Mysterious hairy blob washed up on Philippines beach. It was initially believed to be a new species, but it's likely something else. This weird blob floated up 20 feet long, weighing over 4,000 pounds. At first, they thought it was like a new creature with long, shaggy white hair. It turned out, Mark, to just be a rotting carcass, decomposing thing from like a whale or something, a sperm whale. Ugh. It's nasty.
It's nasty, and I saw that. People are just so hungry for
Yeah.
other
it's true.
other life forms. We are. I don't know how many more you got. I got like a few.
Me too. Keep going. I like it.
Biggest problem for Trump's border wall isn't the money, it's the land. Now, here's another thing his supporters don't stop to think about and probably don't care, unless it's them. Eminent domain. The whole eminent domain issue. It's like Americans seem to think that all of this land where the wall is going to be built, along the border, is just there and you can build on it. No, a lot of it is privately owned, and they're going to have to seize it in order to build the wall. Now, we'll see how that goes over.
I never thought of that. Wow.
Yeah, it's not just free land. It's like the railroad. They had to take everybody's land to build it.
It ain't going to be built. I'm telling you. And anyway, here's one. Mouse on plane delays London to San Francisco flight by 4 hours. Did you hear about that one?
That's insane.
It is, and there's a little picture of the little mouse. But they couldn't take off because apparently mice could eat through wires on the planes and stuff. So it is actually one of those FAA things or whatever that you can't fly with a mouse. So 4 hours people sat waiting to fly. Some of the posts were funny, though. I was reading some of the tweets about it, and someone said, yeah, this little mouse wanted to go to San Francisco because he's gay and he wants to come out, blah, blah, blah.
I was going to ask you if the mouse spoke Arabic. And so somebody
I'm sure there were accusations of that, too, no doubt.
Here's one, and it's not creepy, but it's kind of creepy to me. Joe Biden's son Hunter is dating his brother's widow. Now, the Bidens, Joe Biden and the family are cool with it. It just struck me as like, I don't know, dating your dead brother's wife and leaving. I don't know. It didn't sit well with me. I immediately thought of, it's not the same, but I thought of Woody Allen and Soon Yi. I don't know. Is it creepy?
No, because I think you get closer to that person. Well, this is weird. It's not as weird, but I've known twins to marry twins, which isn't as weird. And when you wrote me that, I wrote you back and said a very dear friend of mine's going through it here. Her brother married his brother's baby mama. They were never officially married, but they have a kid together. So now my friend's kids' cousins are now their half siblings. It happens. I mean, the kids were kind of creeped by it, but the reality is, hey, I mean, she knew him through the brother, and it just sounds creepier than it really is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, love does. Plus, they're not related, so in my mind, there's some kind of incestuous thing going on. It's not true.
Yeah, and I doubt they were messing around while he was alive.
I got two more. Obama.
It was my turn.
Was it really? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, you just talked about. Sorry, because you're not going to want to miss this one.
No, I don't.
High tech. Listen, it just came out. It's by i.con is what it's called. It's a high-tech condom ring. It's coming out to measure boink performance. Yeah, you can actually use it to measure like how hard you get, how fast you get hard, how effective you are. But they're also saying it's going to, not only judge that, plus your thrust, your velocity, skin temperature, girth, calories burned, no joke, and frequency of sessions. It's also going to be used effectively to help somehow deal with, and I didn't get too far in the story because I was kind of creeped me out. I didn't want anyone to see me reading it on my screen at work, but it's going to somehow help with sexual disease transmission too. But it'll be like a smart condom where you can track it all with, it's like that little thing you wear on your arm. So if you want one, Mark, let me know.
Okay, so it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm. It is.
If Obamacare exits, some may need to rethink early retirement. This is important. And then I saw another article today in the New York Times about how if the Republican plan goes through, it's going to really hit people in their 50s and 60s because it's going to be very hard to find affordable insurance.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? This is big story right now. AARP came out yesterday. And basically, they've been running tons of ads. I work in that kind of world, and they're just adamant about it. They came out and, bad.
Good for them. Go ahead. I got
Pizza
one.
Hut Pie Top sneakers place order with the push of a button. They created 20 pairs of these shoes. Now they say they will make them available to the public. Actually, they created 64 pairs of the Pie Top sneakers. So the NCAA college basketball tournament players can be wearing them, and when they're ready to end the game, they put the information in what their favorite pizza is at Pizza Hut. All they got to do is reach down, touch the tongue of their shoe, and the pizza's ordered. I think it's kind of cool.
Well, it's weird.
Yeah, it's a Pie Top.
Okay. I mean, if it was a boot, because I understand the whole boot licking thing.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah, I do. In a previous life.
Oh my God! Let's move on. Move on.
I'm going to end on a sad but positive note. George Michael. It was determined that he died of natural causes. He had dilated cardiomyopathy with myocarditis and fatty liver. So, I mean, what was good about it is that it wasn't. People assume everything when a celebrity like that dies, like he was on drugs and he was doing meth and all this other crap. No, he died, unfortunately, from natural causes. So,
wow.
May he rest in peace.
Amen. I saw that too. And then they said that what's his name who died this week too, or about a week ago? The guy from the Titanic. What's his name? He died young, 60s.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, that he
had surgery. He died in surgery.
Yeah, well, he died of a stroke caused by surgery. Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. I want to point out too before we go into your thoughts. This, I always like to point out things I find on YouTube because I'm a youngster. I use that Snapchat and YouTube stuff all the time now. But there's a cool video out. It's part of a little short film called Eagle Hunters in a New World. They strapped a GoPro on an eagle as it's hunting a fox. So you literally see it.
Yeah,
it's
I couldn't watch
it. It's intense. Did you hear about it? Oh.
No, but there was another video that I did watch where was it a mongoose? Something running from these snakes. Like these.
Oh, wow.
And it was so amazing. You had it's running along the sand and a snake tries to get it and can't kill it. And then it starts running up these rocks.
Ugh.
And there are dozens and dozens of snakes that start chasing this thing. I can't watch that kind of stuff. I know it's nature, but it just makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, nature is intense. There is no question. All right, so you got some thoughts. The Pope's at it again, from what you told me.
Yeah, I got some thoughts. And then quote?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. You and I are just going to talk a little bit. Then I'm going to talk a little bit. It's International Women's Day today. Okay. Happy Women's Day, all.
Oh, absolutely. Happy Women's Day. Long live Planned Parenthood. I was going to say, mine is just about this. It has to do with the quote, too, from the Pope when he was interviewed recently and asked about giving to people in the street or the homeless who, when you're walking down the street, somebody is just sitting there hoping for some money. And he was asked, is about the, stopping to think, what if they use it to buy another drink? Because people do that all the time. Like, oh, this person looks like they're just going to go into a liquor store and buy something. Or we start to judge what they're going to do with this 50 cents we give them. And I think that it's just an excuse not to give them any money. I mean, my thing, honestly, is that I don't like taking my wallet out in public. And I don't keep... I suppose if I wanted to give to folks more often, I would just keep some loose change or some loose bills. I don't like taking my wallet out in public and taking money out of it because somebody could grab it. But anyways, so the Pope's saying to just stop making judgments on what they're going to do with your money. And I'll get to his quote at the end. But and it made me think about how we view the poor, and there's so much of that going on in our culture and our politics, too, with the new health care plan. Well, I don't think they're going to get it through, but the Republican plan now basically shifts takes all this money that was being used to subsidize health insurance for poor people and gives it to the wealthy, which is no surprise. That's what Republicans do. But I've never understood why there's so much anger aimed down the socioeconomic ladder. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I've never really done that. It's like I don't resent people on food stamps. I don't resent people on welfare. I don't resent people on public assistance. It doesn't bother me, because I'm well aware that the people who are really sucking our treasury dry are corporations and the rich,
Yeah.
and I've never understood why, like a lot of conservative types, some of whom are my friends and family, they just never look in that direction. They never look and think that my city is giving some corporation $500 million in tax breaks to open a company here.
And part of it, though, is I don't look at that because I want to look at the positive about what we can do to make a change with a quarter, a dollar, or a banana for that purpose. And I understand it. I mean, because I don't go too deep into it, but it's interesting because last year, November, the Pope came out with the divine mercy concept. And I think I was talking to a friend about this because he alerted me to it, whose brother is Catholic, and she's a very dear friend of mine going to Wisconsin with me, actually, an actress. She played Opal in the movie you wrote for me.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, her brother's Catholic. She was raised Catholic here in the South. And she basically said it's not a matter. I thought it came from his, he's Jesuit, and it came from working with the poor. But she claims it's not. It's really got to be a divine mercy thing. Like you can't, like to your point, you can't make those judgments.
It's none of my business what they do with it. And then I also wanted to add in here, because I was reading another article yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, in the New York Times about how how he has been very effective at playing to the working class's resentment of the poor. And I can kind of understand it, because there are a lot of working class people, with incomes that are above the poverty level, who can't get, subsidies, or they don't get government assistance because they make too much, but they are still struggling. So it's very easy for them to resent poor people who are getting Medicaid and getting this, that, and the other thing. And I even thought myself, when every time their Democrats would defend Obamacare, up until recently, I would see Nancy Pelosi. They always kept saying most people on the ACA are getting health insurance for under $100 a month, and I thought, I'm paying $500, with a subsidy. So I can understand how easy it is to resent people because you think they're getting something you're not. But on the other hand, if we had single payer, nobody would be resenting anybody, because other than the Republicans resenting the fact that we had single payer. But that's one of the reasons I am very in favor of a single payer system, is to just get rid of this class resentment.
Well, and when I'm saying I agree with you, I agree with you why people look at. I can see why they would do it, but I don't agree with that they do it. There was when this whole discussion unfolded yesterday, one guy, I think it was a Republican congressman, said, you have to choose your iPhone or insurance. Oh, yeah,
Chevette, he's nuts.
Yeah, that's who it was. It's not, I just been off Facebook, Marcus, for Lent, and it's been so refreshing. But I don't see it. I see, my partner's on it. I have a dear friend that because of the Obama change, she had a stroke when she was 24 when the change was happening, so she was able to still stay insured. I know that's part of the new plan. Two things do remain. One is pre-existing condition situation, and one is keeping a kid on your policy till you're 26. But in a nutshell, I've just focused, like I said, on the positive, the changes that Obamacare has done for people. And to the Pope, I was just going to call him Pope, not the Pope. To Pope's issue, just give, do what you can, be generous, and let the rest in God's hands. And I think sometimes that we don't, and I think sometimes the politicians don't trust and just know that it all works itself out. But you anyway, now you got me going.
Keep going. Go on to your stuff, and then I'll quote. I'll have a quote.
I'm going to go right into my stuff. It's International Women's Day. I just got a news alert while we were talking about women wearing red today, people skipping out of work today intentionally, with intent. Rallies still happening. International Women's Day actually was launched back in 1909, but the recent Women's Rally has kind of brought it to the fold again and organized it a little better. That particular group that organized the rally is organized today. It's interesting. You may go to work today. and see that there are some women not at work because people were encouraged to tell women not to show up at work. Now, had I still been in my previous position of 3 weeks ago, I've recently changed positions. Gratefully, Mark, I no longer manage anybody, but my staff is entirely female. And I make it known. I always hire the right person for the job. I've hired men, women, whatever. But I would have told every one of them not to come into work today because we have a big team meeting in a half hour. And I was like, God, that would be such a statement. But a lot going on. It's an interesting day. Today, specifically in history, is the birthday of the Barbie doll. I don't know if you know that. Born in Wisconsin. But it's also the birthday of Sue Lee, a San Francisco labor organizer that had led a 15-week strike at work over labor issues. One thing I want to point out and why this is so important, and that's why it is my final word. A lot of stuff, like, God, I don't even know where to go. I love that. Let me look at the positive so I just spoke again. A lot of these companies and things are celebrating women in different ways. You saw Brawny came out with a female Brawny. Strength has no gender is their
Brownie.
hashtags.
What is Brownie?
Brawny scattos, paper towels.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for clarifying.
Brawny, yeah, I don't speak well, but it's a Georgia Pacific paper towel brand, if you want to be specific. So for Women's History Month in March, which is the entire month, they're having female Brawnies on there. And they're actually, many of them have stories, but they're using Strength Has No Gender.
I hope they look like dykes. Some of them. No, really. I mean, I don't want some like lipstick.
Like lumberjacks.
You know what I mean?
No. They're not. I mean, they're strong, They're
Rosie River types.
Yeah, that's what they are. Ann Taylor came out celebrating 60 years. They have a video release called This Is Our Time, and it talks a lot about Ann Taylor's journey. Procter & Gamble is using a hashtag #WeSeeEqual. Some neat things coming out of it. But on the converse side, where it's really tragic, is the changes that happened last year, including the election of Trump, are signifying that it's going to take us 170 years from now until women really have parity with men. We were on a trajectory that was more positive, but they say now the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report is showing that it's going to take, in looking at 144 countries, basing them on the differences between women and men in education, health, economic opportunity, and political power. When you look at all those countries, it's going to average to be 170 years. Last year, I think the parity was 118 years. So we've set back that many years.
We'll be dead.
I mean, yeah, it'll be 2030. It used to be 2033, which was long enough, but now they're saying it's going to be 2186. And when you look at it, African nation of Rwanda is ranking 5th, Nicaragua's ranking 10, and I think America, believe it or not, is in the 45th place now this year. It was 25. Yeah, I love my research, but anyway, that's why I want to talk about it. So today's a day to really remember women and know their contributions, and it pisses me the fuck off sometimes, not sometimes, a lot, that we even have to have these discussions because, like I was saying about the other thing, just trust. It's all going to be okay, but if you don't but on the other end, if you don't take action, so I speak out of two sides of my mouth, it's not just going to happen. So it's sad that we have to be out there marching and wearing red and not showing up for work to make statements. But I hope today works out. I hope that some businesses, even if it's just one business, realize, God, I can't go without women. I better look at the situation.
No, and we also have to remember that there are lots and lots of women who can't participate because they would lose their jobs, or they can't participate because they won't get paid if they don't go to work today. So let's not forget them.
That's right. That's right.
It's kind of a luxury to be able to just say, I'm not going to go to work today and
That's
participate.
right.
I hope millions of women who are able to do that do, but I also don't blame women who fear for their, they're trying to pay the rent, they're trying to buy the groceries, and they can't do this.
Oh, so true. Anyway.
Now, you said it was International Women's Day. It's for our headline for the show.
Yeah, that's right. International Women's Day. So, because it's Women's Month, Women's History Month, but it's International Women's Day. Yep.
Okay. By the way, they also, with this current president, they also moved up the doomsday clock. We're a few seconds closer to the end of the world.
Oh, God, I didn't know that. That's so crazy. Oh, God, thanks, Mark.
He's a nuclear madman. I mean, he's accusing, here we go, he's accusing the previous president of a felony, with no evidence, and his people are saying, well, he doesn't have to provide it. Excuse me, you just accused a president of committing a felony. You most certainly do need to provide evidence. But yeah, the scientists moved up the doomsday clock because they figure he's going to nuke North Korea or China or some shit. Let's go. Let's go. I don't want to get
final quote. Yes, got to put my clothes on. I've been naked this whole show.
Well, it's clothing optional, and fortunately, the video's not on, so I can't see anything.
Damn, you missed out today, Mark, because I was looking good.
Are you wearing one of those win-win things that
the eye goes,
your
yes.
Activity?
Trying to see what's... Yeah, but I didn't get... You just took it down after that announcement about Doomsday. Thank you so much.
The quote is from the Pope Francis. I know people have issues. Everybody's got issues with everything, unless... whatever. But anyways, the quote in his interview was asked about giving to strangers, giving to people on the street and so forth. And he said, quote, if a glass of wine is the only happiness he has in life, of course, this is Italy where people drink wine and not moonshine. But anyways, he said, if a glass of wine is the only happiness he has in life, that's okay. Instead, ask yourself, what do you do on the sly? What happiness do you seek in secret? So yes, look at the little beam in your own eye before you.
Yeah, I love this Pope.
Point out the splinter. Yeah, I like him too. I think he's cool. He's got, in the conservative, there's a whole war going on in the Vatican that I keep reading about with the conservatives trying to undermine him because they think I think he's too much like Jesus, and they think he's not enough like, the Inquisition. So,
God, that's so interesting. It just shows organized religion versus real faith. You know what I mean? And I want to point out, Twisty, wherever you are, I do wish you the best because the show was far better than it's ever been with your little ass gone. Twisty was our intern, y'all.
Light and sound, it's all so much better.
I miss they very much, but it's all way better, Mark. So we may not have the sound effects we once did because I know Twisty worked with you hard on that. So I just want to let people know the show may be sound effectless, but
they wouldn't have noticed until you told them. Right?
Mark and I discussed this in the green room. What do we do with Twisty being gone? C was very active in helping with that.
I put an ad up on Craigslist, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, but for now, we're just going to be, clothing optional, sound effect optional. How about that?
Okay, yeah, people can add their own sound effects. All right,
right.
Listen, I'm going to let you go, and we'll be back next week with another twist. America's only clothing optional.
Clothing optional podcast.
Bye.
Bye.